Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how I maintain my weight and what are the steps that I do. What is the plan that I have so that I can maintain my weight? I often get asked the question, how do you stay so slim? From people who are my age, around my age, even people who are younger. And let me just put it out on the table right now. It isn't easy. It takes some work. But most of all, it takes some planning. And if you do the planning and you stick with your plan, you will achieve your weight loss goals. And you need to stick with this plan for the rest of your life. This is not a diet. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. This is just how I have found the ability to maintain the weight that I want to be at and stay relatively healthy. Now, most of us blame ourselves for gaining weight. I hear so many women saying all the time, I really don't eat that much. I don't know why I can't lose weight. I can't get rid of the baby weight. I'm going through menopause and I can't get rid of the weight. We women go through a lot of transitions in our life. And at each transition in our life, there are challenges with our weight. It's not just when you're older and more mature and sophisticated like I am. It's also when you're younger. If you go to college, it's the freshman 15. If you don't go to college, it's just partying in general. When you get to be in your 20s, 30s, it's the baby weight that you can't lose. And then, of course, when you hit 50 plus, it's menopause. And in each one of those stages in life, that weight gain is real. It's bothersome. We don't like not being able to fit in clothes that we may have purchased in the past. But the bottom line is, no matter what your age, no matter what stage of life you're at, the only way to gain weight is to eat more calories than you burn. Let me say that again. The only way to lose weight, or to gain weight, I should say, is to eat more calories than you burn. Now, granted, at each stage of life, our body metabolism burns more or less calories depending at the age that we're at. We tend to burn more calories when we're younger. Our body just is more efficient. So we can maybe eat 2,000 calories a day. And because our body's young and more efficient and we may be more active, we can eat at those levels and not gain a lot of weight. After childbirth, our body tends to slow down a little bit. We put on some weight for breastfeeding. We take off the weight. It depends on how many children you have. Each child presents a little bit more of a challenge to your body. I have to confess at this particular point in the video, I've only had one child. So for me, at the age of 26, I had my son, and I was just beside myself for the first 3 months after I gave birth, because I thought the minute I had my son, I was going to go back to my normal weight, and I didn't. So I had to reduce my calories and move more. I remember at that time, I had joined a gym to work out. Like most gym memberships, it lasted about a year and kind of petered out after that. But that was my challenge during that period of time. I also had a challenge in my mid-30s. I was becoming more of a professional. I was going up the ladder of success, and with that, of course, comes more stress and strain. And so I was doing a little bit more stress-related eating. And again, I think at that particular point in my life, when I was about 35, 36, I started to put on about 10 pounds. And then, of course, my biggest challenge was at the age of 54, going through menopause. I put on weight, but it snuck up on me. I put on a good 15 pounds it took about 3 years. It was about 5 pounds a year. And all of a sudden, at the age of 57, I found myself weighing 130 pounds. Now, to some of you, you may say, that's my goal weight. But I'm only 5'1". So for me, on my small, short frame, 130 pounds is a lot. That's the equivalent of maybe 160 on an average size 5'5", 5'6", 7-inch woman. So you know that your goal weight should always be attached to your height and your body frame. If you have a small body frame, a larger body frame, you can carry more weight, that kind of thing. So today what I'm going to talk about is, number one, the triggers for weight gain, and number two, what I do to stave off weight gain, particularly at this point in my life. Now, the triggers typically for most people are hungry, angry, lonely, tired. We call that HALT. And actually, in my past profession, I'm retired now, I was a licensed clinical social worker, and I did treat addicted patients for many years, and then I eventually went into a director and executive director role. But we would teach our clients that when they're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, they were more apt to drink. And that's true. It's just a coping mechanism. It's the same thing with eating. When you're really hungry, in other words, you've starved yourself all day, so you're famished. If you're frustrated, you're angry, you're feeling bored, lonely, and especially when you're tired. And ladies, this is one I want you to really pay attention to. When you're tired, you tend to crave food because your body is saying, I need energy, I'm tired. And so you'll grab for the candy bar, you'll grab for the snack, you'll go to the vending machine because your body is saying you're tired and you need more energy. And so we're going to talk about fending off some of those trigger points today. Okay, so the way that you are going to overcome those triggers, being bored, being tired, being hungry, overly hungry because you've missed lunch because you were busy at work or whatever, you need to have a plan, period, and stick with it. I found that the only way that I can consistently stay at the same or pretty much the same weight, most people fluctuate, let me just put this caveat, is nobody gets up in the morning and weighs the exact same amount every single day for years on end. You're going to fluctuate a pound or 2 or even 3 based on how much water you're retaining. And typically that has to do with how much sodium you've eaten for the day. If you eat a lot of processed foods, some of your weight may be just due to, holding on to water that you need to get rid of. I find that if I eat processed foods like something from McDonald's, or I eat like a tamale, some kind of processed food like that, my body will tend to hang on to water weight. I can gain up to 2 pounds in a day just because I ate some salty processed food. My body tends to be very sensitive to salt, and it'll take me typically a couple of days to stay away from the salty foods before my body will drop that weight. So you really need to have a plan for what food you're going to consume for the entire day and stick with it. This is not a diet. This is a plan to stay within a calorie goal that you have for yourself. And whether you fluctuate 50 or 60 calories from that really isn't important. So what you're going to do is you are going to plan, number one, how many calories do you want to consume a day? And I would strongly suggest that you talk to your doctor about this to get a good calorie level that you should be at, a good and healthy calorie level that you should be at from your doctor, because your doctor will know based on your age, your height, your frame, really what's the amount of calories you can eat in a day without putting on weight. And how much do you need to be at, how much do you need to reduce those calories by to lose weight, because your maintenance calories will be a couple hundred, usually calories higher than your weight loss goal. For me, because I'm so small, in order to lose weight, I usually have to be at 12 or 1300 calories, no more. Now, I know that seems like very little to most of you, and it is even for me, even though I'm a small person. but that's what I have to be at in order to lose weight. So if I want to drop about a pound a week, I have to be at about 12 or 1300 calories a day. I'm just talking on average now for an average height woman who's an average height build, probably to lose weight somewhere around 1600 calories a day, which isn't much more, but it's about another small meal more than, let's say, I could eat and still lose weight. And probably to maintain, for most of you, it'll be around 1800 calories. For me to maintain, it's somewhere between 15 and 1600 calories. Now, again, these are generalizations. I'm not a doctor. You should consult with your medical professional, especially if you have other conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, those kinds of things. You really should consult with your doctor as far as what is your calorie level you should be at for healthy weight loss and what's the calorie level you can go up to once you want to maintain your weight. I find that the best way to do this for me is to log it in a diary-like form, and I've been using this app for years and years, and the only way that I can maintain weight is to use this app. I notice when I go off the app and I try to kind of eyeball the food, I'm never a good guesser, even though I'm pretty good at remembering the calorie count in a lot of foods. I'm still off unless I use this. It's surprising a lot of times, food that you think is very innocuous or it's just a little piece of this or that, how many calories it really has. And just to demonstrate to you a this or that, let me show you this or that. So you can either eat an apple or you can eat a cookie. Now, I think it's safe to say that most of us know the cookie is nothing but empty calories. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that you can eat something that's a lot more filling and nutritious that's at the same calorie level as this little yummy cookie that contains nothing but empty calories. This cookie is a French butter cookie. They're delicious. I love them, and they have a little bit of salt in them. I do have a treat every now and then because I'm at my goal weight, and so every now and then, meaning once or twice a week, I might be able to indulge in a little treat here and there. But most of the time, I stay away from processed sweets like this. But the comparison is 80 calories for this cookie, 80 calories for this apple. After I eat this cookie, which I know you want, Merle, my dog wants this cookie in the worst way. Murdy, you're getting a little chunky there. The cookie, you'll eat it, and it'll taste terrific going down, and then after that, you're going to be wanting for more. You're going to be looking for more. If you eat the apple, you've got the same amount of calories, so your body's going to burn it about the same, but you'll be full. You'll be more full anyway. You'll have eaten some fiber for the day, which is very good for your digestive system, and you will have taken in some good vitamins. So vitamins, fiber, filling, or empty calories that taste good for about all of 2 minutes, not even that to ingest the cookie. So that's what you need to think about, this or that. There's a lot of things that we want to grab for like this that aren't going to really satisfy us. This would satisfy you a little bit more, especially if you drink a glass of water after it. This is just going to be yummy going down for a second, and then you're going to be looking around for cookie number 2 or 3. And then you're at 240 calories as opposed to the 80 calories and maybe a glass of water that would have satisfied you just as well for that, moment in the day when you just have that craving that you need a little something. Maybe you're tired, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you've been focusing on the computer, you've been talking to people, meeting, doing whatever your particular job is, and you feel like you need a little something. If you grab the apple and you drink a glass of water, I guarantee you're going to feel satisfied. The apple tastes delicious, and that cookie will not satisfy you. In fact, it'll probably make you seek more sweets because you won't feel satiated. So that's why it's so important to document everything that you're going to be eating. So we're going to talk next about I use the FitnessPal app. There are other apps out there that do the same thing. I haven't tried them, so I can't speak to them. I have used FitnessPal. I'm not endorsing it or receiving any payment for it. It's just what I found that's useful to me. So I use FitnessPal. So I'm going to show you how I document my food intake on here. Hopefully I can get a good shot of this. What FitnessPal does is you will put in your goal calories for the day. So right now I want to take off about a pound. I think most of it's water, but I'll stick with this maybe for a couple days, and then I'll go back up to my 1,500 calories. Myrtle, you can't have the cookie now. Knock it off. We're going to call you Big Murdy if you don't stop eating those things. I'm at 1,300 calories a day. The food that I've logged in today is 1,269. I plan on doing about 327 calories worth of exercise on my stationary bike. And what this will do is I document every single thing that I'm going to be eating today. Now, I don't know if you can see this very well, but the thing about this is you document breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and any snacks that you've eaten on here. The good thing about the FitnessPal app is that it will look up whatever you're eating, even if it's homemade. You could put spaghetti sauce homemade, and it'll give you kind of a ballpark of what a cup of spaghetti sauce homemade, how many calories are in that. If you're eating something like a brand kind of food, like in the morning, I usually have Raisin Bran. It'll tell me exactly, measure out a half a cup or whatever. You put your milk in, half a cup, whatever, and it will go on the internet and it pulls up what the company is saying is the number of calories for that particular thing that you're eating. So you get a more accurate calorie count by putting it in this diary. And then at the end, after you put in all your food, and I strongly suggest you put in the food before the day starts or even the night before. Think about what you're going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And maybe if you have some extra calories left over, you can throw in a little snack for yourself. Better to choose a healthy snack, but if you want that cookie and you got 90 calories extra, you can treat yourself with that too. But this way, you kind of stay on a plan and you don't veer from it. And it makes it a lot easier because now you've got a goal, you've got a plan for your food. It also tells you, FitnessPal will tell you what the nutritional value is of the food that you ate for the day. So you can click on nutrition and it'll break it down into fats, sugars, the 3 different kinds of fats, like trans fats, which are bad for you, those saturated fats, those kinds of things, vitamins, vitamin A, C, D, all those kinds of things. So you can see the nutritional value of the food you're eating as well too, which is really good. It also counts your sugars and your salts and all that kind of thing, so you stay within a certain radius because it'll set a goal for you based on the calories that you have, how much of that you should take each day. And then it will also tell you, based on the number of calories that you've eaten for the day at your particular weight, what you should weigh in 5 weeks. And this thing is pretty accurate, I've noticed. So for example, if I went, and I'm not going to, but if, for example, if I stayed with 1,269 calories for the next 5 weeks, which I'm not going to, but if I did, I complete the diary, and it will tell me if every day were like today in 5 weeks, you'd weigh 96.4 pounds. Now that's way too little for me. I weigh usually between 101 and 103 pounds. So I don't want to get down to 96 pounds. So I would use the 1,300 calories for a time when I feel like maybe I've put on about a pound that I can't seem to take off for some reason. And I'll go to that for a day or two. And then I'll push it back up to like 1,500 or 1,600 calories, which usually levels off my weight. But this is tried and true. If this is, you want to know how I stay so slim at the age of 68, that's how I do it. I have to log in my food every single day. Now here's the other part where all of us get into trouble. Eating out at restaurants. That is a tough one for everyone. If you're going to like a chain restaurant out here, like a Maggiano's or something like that, you can typically get a pretty close calorie count of their food. Maggiano's is a really good Italian restaurant. It's a chain around the Midwest, but their food is enormously high in calories. I find typically when I go to that restaurant, the amount of food that they give you for one portion is really enough to eat for 2 days. So here's my rule when I go to a restaurant. I only eat half of what I'm served. So if I'm going to eat soup, I have half the bowl of soup. If I have salad, I have half the bowl of salad. My main course, I have half the main course. If it's something that I like, I might tell them to wrap it up and I'll take it home the next day and maybe eat it for lunch. I make sure that I'm not gorging myself on bread because there's always, at most restaurants, the infamous bread basket. I limit myself to 1, tops 2 pieces of bread, and I typically skip the butter. For dessert, typically when we're going out to a restaurant, it's a nice treat evening out. It's not like we eat in restaurants every day. So my husband and I will usually split a dessert. Most of the time, I find that even when I do that, I'm still about anywhere from 300 to 500 calories over my weight, my calorie goal for the day. So just think of it as your treat day, but you still have to limit those treats. And then the next day you get right back onto your plan. And you'll find that if you did put on a pound or 2, usually from the sugar, salt that's in those restaurant foods, you'll take it right back off in about 2 to 3 days. So that's the way you can go out and enjoy yourself. Vacations are especially difficult. Usually I'll come back from a vacation minimally anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds more than when I started because you're eating out every day. And even if you're only eating half of what they're giving you, you're typically not exercising like you usually do unless you're walking around, you're sightseeing and going to museums and things like that. You might be able to maintain your weight with some of that walking. But just know that you have a plan when you come back from vacation that you're going to get right back to planning your meals every single day and getting back to your exercise routine, which is the next thing that I'm going to talk about. Exercise is very important for your health, period, and we all know that. You certainly don't have to be a professional nutritionist or doctor or anybody. We hear it all the time that exercise is really what keeps people healthy and keeps them living hopefully a little bit longer than if they weren't doing that. The rule is 150 minutes a week, which if you're only exercising Monday through Friday, let's say you want to take a break on the weekend, that's a minimum of a half an hour of exercise every single day. Now, when I say exercise, it doesn't have to be where the sweat's pouring down you. It's just you're moving. So you can take a walk in your neighborhood. You can ride a stationary bike, which is what I do. You can join a gym, although I find that, a majority of people who join those gyms, they go for a couple of months and then they keep paying the money and they're not going because they're too tired after work. They don't feel like going. So if you can have a modality of exercise in your home that you can stick with, that is always, always the easiest and the most sustainable type of exercise. Especially if you're living in an area like I do where we have 4 seasons, you're probably not going to go out for a walk in the middle of January. So you do need something that you can do in your home. I have a very, very inexpensive exercise bike, which I will show you in a little bit, that I use. I think I paid all of $79 for it. I don't know if they even make this model anymore, but I'm sure there's plenty of others that are just like it. You don't need to buy a $2,000 Peloton unless you have the extra cash and you want one. That's just fine. But the main thing is that you ride it almost every day. Now, the half an hour rule, like I said, is what you minimally should do. I think when you get older, you can eat less calories. We know that. You typically, when you're younger, you can eat, like I said, 2,000 calories. When you're a little bit older, you're probably into the, 1,700 calories tops. At my height, 1,500 or 1,600 calories tops. So you can eat less. And you do need to exercise a little bit more in order to just stave off that slow metabolism. So I do my indoor bike, my stationary bike, 70 minutes a day, every single day, 7 days a week. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but I did start out slowly. I would say for the first 3 months, I only rode it for a half an hour. I did it most days. And then I bumped it up 10 minutes every month or so until I hit 70 minutes. Some days I can do the whole 70 minutes at one time. Other times I start to feel a little too tired around 40 or 50 minutes. So I take a little break for myself for about a half an hour, and then I get back on and I finish it. It doesn't have to be 70 consecutive minutes of biking or exercise. You can split it up throughout the day. It's just the amount of time. So you can do, if you have a break at lunch and you want to walk around for 15 minutes at your lunchtime, and then you have a break later on in the day, you can walk for another 10 minutes or something. That's how you could break up your exercise and even do it before you get home. And then maybe when you get home, walk around your block another 5 minutes just to kind of finish off the half an hour. But I'm telling you that exercise portion is very important to help maintain the weight loss, to kind of boost the weight loss, but it also is just for your overall health. We know that people who exercise on a daily basis for at least 150 minutes a week have a lower incidence of heart problems, have a lower incidence of diabetes, have a lower incidence of high blood pressure, just overall better health. It's not to say that you won't have health issues. We all have things that creep up on us. I'll tell you about my own health journey at another point, but you still want to try to keep yourself at the maximum level you can. And it takes work and planning. That's the only way you can do it. Now I'm going to show you, let me see, I have this kind of written down so I don't forget some of the main points. Just stay with me. I want to highlight some foods that you really need to stay away from if you can. And then I want to talk about another thing that I do that also helps a lot with my maintaining my weight and my weight loss, and it's 16-hour fasting. I will get to that in 1 minute. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I want to break this film up into a few segments so I can kind of gather my thoughts in between, because it's a lot of information and I want to make sure that I remember most of it. The foods that you really, really need to stay away from most of the time, and I know a lot of you aren't going to like hearing this, but you need to stay away from alcohol and you need to stay away from processed foods as much as possible. If you don't, I don't care what you do, you're not going to lose enough weight and you're going to gain weight eventually. The thing that makes me concerned, and part of this is coming from my background as a substance abuse therapist for many, many years, is that we went through this pandemic for the last couple of years. We're still going through some of it. Is people were locked in their houses. They had nowhere to go. They couldn't socialize. And so people who were drinking as a regular part of their life began to consume even more alcohol as a result of the boredom that came as a result of staying in the house, not socializing. And so it was easy for people to reach for that alcohol. From what I understand, from what I've heard on TV, a lot of women have increased their wine intake considerably in the last couple of years, to the point where some of them may have developed a dependency or a problem that they're not even aware of that they have. I will say that it is very easy to grab for a glass of wine when you come home from a very, very stressful day at work. I know it was easy for me to do at one point, where I would almost every day when I'd come home from work grab for that glass of Merlot or Rosé to kind of unwind. Sometimes the pour would be a little bit heavier, so instead of being one glass, it would be 2 glasses. But alcohol will put the weight on you, and I don't care how much exercising you're doing. If you don't cut the alcohol intake, number one, it can create all kinds of health issues for you. Alcohol is very hard on your heart, on your liver, on your brain. It is not healthy for you. I don't care how much you hear about the French, and I love the French. I'm a Francophile. But drinking wine daily, there is no proven study that I've ever seen that it helps with anything, especially after the age of 60. A lot of information that I've read says basically you should stay away from alcohol, period. And if you have to drink it, it should just be for an occasion or here or there. Alcohol is not good for you. You will gain weight. I know a lot of women that really don't eat much, but they consume a half a bottle of wine when they come home from work. Every time they socialize with their girlfriends, they're going somewhere for the margaritas or the drinks. Margaritas are very sugary drinks, so not only do you have the alcohol, but you have all that added sugar on top of it. So the bottom line is, don't drink. And if you do, it should just be for maybe a special occasion like a wedding where you limit yourself to 1 glass of wine or whatever you're drinking. It shouldn't be any more than 1 glass. Now I know that's hard for a lot of you to hear because you enjoy relaxing with a glass of wine or whatever, but if you want to stay slim, if you want to stay healthy, I'm telling you, cut out the alcohol. The first thing that I was asked, and like I said, at another point I'll talk about this more, but I was diagnosed with breast cancer a couple of years ago. The first thing I was asked is, are you a heavy drinker? Because we do know from studies that women who consume alcohol on a regular basis tend to be at a higher risk for breast cancer. So the alcohol will increase your estrogen level. Increased estrogen levels can put you at a higher risk for breast cancer. So you need to be aware of that too. If you have a history of breast cancer in your family, if you have a history of lumps or having issues with your breasts, that's another reason for you to stay away from the alcohol. The other thing that you need to stay away from as much as possible is processed foods. Like I told you, I consumed a tamale or two. Processed food, it'll put 1 pound or 2 of weight on me. It's water, because let me define this for you. In order to gain gain 1 pound of body fat, you have to have consumed 3,500 calories more than your body has burned. So that's a considerable amount. That's probably 2 days worth of food for most of us, over what your regular consumption is in order to gain 1 pound. A lot of weight that women have, especially initially when they're first losing weight, is water. And it's because they're eating a lot of carbs, they're eating a lot of sugars, and they're probably eating a lot of processed food. So when you grab for that ham sandwich at lunch, or you're eating that piece of pizza, or you're getting a quick carry out at McDonald's or whatever, all those foods, lunch meats, all the lunch meats that you can think of, every one of those things, hot dogs, are all processed foods, bacon, all those foods will put weight on you, and they'll put water weight on you. So now you'll get on the scale and you'll be discouraged because you've put on 5 pounds, when in fact, a lot of that weight may be attributed to the processed foods that you're eating. It's also just bad for your organs, again, too. Processed foods contain high amounts of sodium, high amounts of high fructose corn syrup. Those are all things that tend to put you on the path of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problems. So you want to try to stay away from pre-prepared foods and make your food from scratch as much as possible. And that may mean planning your foods again for the week ahead of time, something that can be cooked, from scratch, but maybe doesn't take an hour or 2 hours to prepare. You can, the other thing that I would strongly suggest staying away from is red meat. I have not eaten any red meat barely in the last 15 years. I've treated myself a couple of times a year to maybe a hot dog at the ballpark, because I do love my hot dogs, but I do stay away from them because they're highly processed and not good at all for you. But red meat is also very bad for your system. It'll clog your arteries. It's very hard on your digestive system. And if you can, stay with turkey, chicken, or fish, and you'll be a lot healthier in that way too. Now, the other part of my maintaining my weight loss is a 16-hour daily fast. Now, This just works really well for me because it gives my body a lot more time to process the calories that I've consumed for the day. So a 16-hour fast consists of eating all of your food within an 8-hour window during the day. So there's only 8 hours a day where you can eat, and then the other 16, you do not eat anything. You can have water and that's it. Now, typically for me, I eat between 8:30 in the morning and I'm finished eating by 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm retired. That's an easier schedule for me to maintain because I tend to get up a little bit later. I like to watch the news and things like that before I head downstairs for breakfast. And then my husband and I try to eat our dinner by the early bird special by 4:30 in the afternoon. Now, I realize for those of you who are working, that probably schedule isn't going to work for you. I would say go by where you can finish your dinner at and then go 8 hours back from that. So, for example, if you're the earliest you can finish your dinner is by 6:30 at night, you probably don't want to start eating breakfast then if you're going to stick to the 16-hour fast till 10:30 in the morning. So that might mean eating your breakfast at work. Maybe have a cup of coffee in the morning just to get yourself going. That's perfectly fine. But you should not eat anything then until about 10:30 in the morning. So the later you have your breakfast, the later you have your dinner, the later you're going to have your breakfast. Now, if you can finish your dinner by 5:30 in the afternoon, then you can have your breakfast by 9:30, which would still mean you're probably going to have your breakfast at work for most of you. So it is a bit of a challenge for people who are in the workplace, as opposed to people who are working from home or people who are retired and can finish their dinner a little bit earlier in the day and therefore eat your breakfast at a little bit more normal time. But I'm telling you that if you do want to take off weight and you want to keep it off, eating in an 8-hour window every single day and then fasting for 16 hours will help speed that up because it gives you 16 hours to burn off all of those calories. The other thing that I do every single day is I weigh myself, and I weigh myself at the same time every day. I usually weigh myself about 5 minutes before I'm going to go eat breakfast. So around 8:30ish, a little bit before that, I will weigh myself every single day. And then I document that in FitnessPal as well too, because FitnessPal goes by what your current weight is, how many calories you've consumed, anything that you've exercised off. And then when you finish your diary, it'll tell you in 5 weeks, if this is what you do every single day, that's how much you should weigh. So weigh yourself every single day. At first you may get discouraged because you'll be sticking to your diet and all of a sudden you'll see that you're up 2 pounds. There's no way if you are eating below the calorie amount that you should be eating that you're gaining weight. It probably means that you just ate something that's making you retain water. So just stick with it, and I promise you that 2 pounds that you put on and you're screaming because you've been maintaining your calorie count is just water. There's no way that you put on real fat if you are staying within your calorie count to lose weight. So sometimes you'll see you've gone up a pound or 2. I've done that where it's like, where the heck did this 2 pounds come from? I didn't eat anything big, but I probably ate a little bit too much salt that I shouldn't have, and my body's hanging on to that water. And usually if I just stick with my plan, within a couple days, there it goes. It's back down and it's off. So just stick with it. Now, as far as weighing yourself, if you ever had any problems with an eating disorder like anorexia or bulimia, don't do this unless your nutritionist or your doctor or whoever you're working with advises you to do so, because there are other triggers and things that come along with those eating disorders, and weighing yourself and being obsessed about what you weigh. That could just be a trigger. So I'm not giving advice to you if you have an eating disorder. You really need to get professional help to overcome that particular illness. This is for people who have not had any kind of eating disorder in their life. They just have the typical, I'm being stagnant, I'm eating junk food, I'm not eating properly, I'm tired, that kind of thing. So, like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor. This is just what I have found that works successfully for me and has worked for many, many years. This isn't something that I did in 6 months and, then I fall off the bandwagon. This is what has helped me throughout the years maintain my weight at a very good level. And I've been through all the baby fat and the partying and the menopause. I've been through all those stages where I have put on weight. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And I found that this is the way to get back on track. And now for the last, I would say, 5 years now, I've been maintaining my weight very well by sticking with this plan. The next thing I want to show you is my little exercise bike. And then the other thing that I do to just maintain my health, and I think this is for any woman at any age, is to, when I get up in the morning, after I wash my face, I do these little stretching exercises, because I find that, when you're laying in the same position for a long time, whether you're on your back, you're on your side, those kinds of things, you have little aches and pains, especially the older you get, the more you find you have those full body aches and pains. And I find that stretching keeps me more limber. I'm still able to bend down all the way, look under tables, things like I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, because I've maintained my flexibility. So I want to take you through the two. I just do 2 stretching exercises. I do 5 of them each. And that's what I do when I get up in the morning. And then I just want to demonstrate to you the little exercise bike that I have and show you that it's nothing, it's no big frilly thing. It's a very inexpensive piece of equipment that I keep in a sewing room that I have, but it is what helps to keep me on track with my weight loss. So let's go and look at that and do the stretching exercises. Okay, everyone, we're back now and we're in my little exercise area. This is the exercise bike I was talking to you about. All it is a seat and some pedals. Very simple, easy peasy. Like I said, it was like under $70. And the name of this one is called Sit and Cycle. And like I said, I don't even know if it still exists, but I'm sure there's plenty of other things that look just like this that are just as inexpensive that you can find in most places that sell exercise equipment. But I use this faithfully every day. You can see it's easy to get on. You can adjust the seat up or down for your particular height. I get on here, I have a TV, a flat screen TV in here. So I usually try to find a TV show that I'm interested in, or a movie, something to kind of keep my mind occupied, so I'm not just thinking about, oh, how much longer do I have to do this? But once I get going, I try to do it for 70 minutes. Like I said, if I'm getting tired, I don't kill myself on this thing. If it's 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and I feel like I need to take a break, I do. And then once I feel like I've got a little bit more energy back, I get back on and I finish the 70 minutes. But it's as simple as this. It's hands-free. If I want, I can swing my arms and kind of get my heart rate up a little bit more if I want to do that. Just watch the TV, and it's simple dimple. So that's what I do for my daily exercise. I do it 7 days a week. Occasionally I'll skip if we have to go out somewhere, but doing it 7 days a week gives me that extra padding too, so I'm getting my 150 minutes, more than my 150 minutes in for the week. Now I want to take you through the very simple stretching exercises that I do, just so you can see how little time it takes in the morning, but it helps with your posture, just helps with the way your body is positioned. People who tend to walk more hunched over look older. We don't want to look older. We just want to look more mature and sophisticated and as attractive as we can for as long as we can. Okay, so for the first exercise that I do in the morning after I wash my face is I want to stretch my back out. Usually I find that my back's aching a little bit, and just kind of feel a little crunkled over. So I want to stretch my back muscles as much as possible. So I do 5 of these. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands down, just smoothly going down, slowly down our leg until we can touch our ankles. If you can't go any further than that at first, that's fine. You'll eventually get there. You're just going to do a little bit more every day and you'll finally get there. My goal is to get my my fists all the way down to the ground, and then I'm going to stretch backwards, move my butt a little bit backwards to stretch my back a little bit more, and then come up very slowly so that each vertebrae is just moving very slowly so we're not putting our backs out of whack or anything, okay? So let's do 5 of these. So we're going to go down very, very gradually, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. It feels very good. You can feel your whole back of your legs here and your back being stretched out. Now you're at your ankles. If you can't get any further than that, then just stay there. I'm going to go all the way down to the floor because I'm stretched out good enough. And then I'm going to move my butt backwards a little bit, push my legs and my butt backwards to give myself a little extra stretch. And then I'm going to come up slowly. Now what I'm going to do is put my hands on my lower back, and I'm going to stretch back as far as I can. So that way you've stretched your back both forwards and backwards. And we're just going to do this 5 times. So we're going to go down again. Slowly, slowly. Either to your ankles, or if you can, go all the way down to the floor. Stretch backwards. Stretch backwards. And then move up. And move back. 1, 2, 3, 4 times I usually like to go. And go down again. Slowly. This is number 3. Ankles or floor, whichever you can do. Move your legs and butt backwards. Get a nice good stretch. Move forward. Back up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. And then 4 times back. Okay. Number 4. Almost there. Down to the ankles or the floor. Move back. Up. And only 1 more to do. Here we go. And down. Push back. Push back. And up. And back. Okay, and that's that for that stretch. And then I just have 1 more stretching exercise that I do in the morning. And this is to help kind of get my sides to be a little bit more flexible. It's a very simple exercise. We're going to do 5 on each side. So we're going to move this foot forward. This arm's going to come up above your head. This arm here is going to pull you down. Okay? And then you're going to do it on the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I usually do like 4 bounces. Go as far as you can and come up. So we've done 1. Here's 2. Feel that stretch. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, and that's it. That's how I stay slim. If you follow those tips, hopefully you'll find them helpful and easy to follow. And I'm telling you, if you stick with it, in the next year, you're going to be delighted that you've gone down a size or 2 in your clothes. You feel better. You feel healthier. So stick with it and hopefully it'll work for you as well as it does for me. There you go. Bye.